an unflattering thumbnail, but I went with it because it kind of looked like I was blowing my nose. That's awesome. Um, so I'm doing this one live, so there's a possibility that I'm going to see some people chat, and it's going to scroll up on my phone. Um, I'm one of those people who earned the right, the privilege to stream live from my phone by garnering enough subscribers and views and whatnot, and then hardly used it. So sorry about that, guys. I've been busy, real busy, and I've got two thoughts tonight that they're not merging very well. But you guys know that I like to make connections where sometimes there's only flimsy connections. But I like to play these things out. The first thought, okay, it's it has to do with the title of this stream. So sometimes when you see, let's say, a set of people that don't have a lot of money, right? That they can't afford to go on vacation. That's something that's just not in their budget. You'll see that they oftentimes might do other things to celebrate uh, certain events, like go out to eat. You know, sometimes spend way too much on a restaurant meal that might have a certain ambiance to the restaurant where it's like going on a vacation. But for just that one night, you can forget that you are broke as fuck. You know, um, it's this momentary suspending of reality. To just enjoy a moment, and sometimes people need that. Even though determination pays off, and if you were to watch your finances and you know stay steady, stick to the course, and budget yourself, you could maybe get out of that mess. That's what I am right now. Only I'm not eating out and I don't have a financial problem. What I have is a time budget that I have this crunch. Okay. I'm in grad school and it's getting close to the end and I'm defending a 4.0, right? It's mine to lose. I got about 2 months left on this thing before I've sealed the deal and I am summa cum laude a graduate with highest honors, right? So I don't have much time to do anything else, right? But then when I feel the stress of some of the things that I've taken on, like that time crunch of, you know, studying and getting a good grade, in addition to working jobs and taking on new jobs and new responsibilities and whatnot, when I feel this crunch of not having enough time to spend on things, what do? Uh, watch TV, make a YouTube video, go for a drive, film abandoned houses. You know, um, that's what I do. I do something to enjoy my time. You could call it taking a break if you did more work than breaking. But what I find myself doing in the face of not having enough time and knowing how I need to budget my time to have the best outcome. Sometimes I look at this mountain that I'm trying to climb and I just go, well, fuck it, what's on TV? You know, did Netflix come out with anything special this week? I don't know, but I don't want to think about this mountain of shit that I have given myself to do. Um, so here I am, live streaming on YouTube because I need to have that restaurant experience that I can't afford. There's solace in that. I have no idea how else to convey this to you guys, but um, there is. You know, you take some time and do that thing that you can't afford to do. Got a comment here. Sammy Jenkins says, "Man, my parents never took us on vacation. When they has time off work, they just stayed at home. Not because we were poor. My mom just hated going anywhere." Um, you know, maybe they were tired all the time. Um, Personally, I don't get as much out of certain types of vacations. You know, you can imagine that I don't spend a lot as far as entrance fees into some of the things that I have filmed and put on YouTube. Um, there's no one around for miles, and it's just me and Misty filming things that nobody has seen in probably years. You know, but yeah, as far as vacations go, I think my next vacation that I know is happening, that I know I'm going to do, it's a total solar eclipse that'll be happening in a couple years, and I'll be going to Texas for it. Um, I will block out time just for that experience because when we went to Nebraska for the last one, uh, it was very awesome. And there were colors around that eclipse that just defy my ability to describe it for you. I had cameras on it, and the cameras do not do it justice. What happens during a total solar eclipse um, is, you know, there's this palette of colors that you just don't see anywhere else with any other effect. Um, it's about as different as when you go to a nightclub and there's black lights and people are wearing white t-shirts. It's like that much different than reality, like normal reality. So I'll be going to that, and it's only going to last a couple minutes, you know, and I'll be comparing it to my memory of the last time we went to go see one. That's what Misty and I do now. We are total solar eclipse chasers. And there's even memorabilia that people will pick up along the way, like little pins that say, I was there for this eclipse, and you'll never be able to find that sort of stuff uh, because, little towns will, make their own little pins and stuff. But yeah, that's my next real vacation. And I'm planning it years from now. But I take a lot of little vacations. The little ones are cool too. Um, I'm also looking at a couple of filming projects that maybe I'll get done after I finish my degree. So I don't know where Sammy Jenkins is, but he thinks that there's not going to be another total solar eclipse till 2028. Um, I don't know what country that is, but the one I'm going to go to will be in Texas, and I've got a couple years to plan. Um, oh, Australia. Okay. Well, there's one always happening, like somewhere around the Earth, like every year. But you know, depending on which continent you're on, you're only going to get parts of eclipses here and there every now and again, and then total solar eclipses, the ones that have the greatest effect to get in that narrow strip of land where you're going to have the best experience, the totality. Um, it's completely different. It's you're you know uh, I had to go to Nebraska for the last one, go to Texas for the next one. You got to chase it, you know. And I'm so glad somebody else has worked out the rest of that math. Anyways, we're 11 minutes in. I've gotten point number one out my mouth, right? And that's the nature of these live things. I can get sidetracked really easy by you guys commenting. Um, I remember that. So back to rambling. Kind of similar in a point, but not completely similar. Is this effect that I've noted that when people do something for a job, they often don't like to do it at home. Like electricians have the worst wired houses. Mechanics sometimes have a rust bucket sitting out in front of their front yard, you know, that they're working on. Um, Man, you feel sorry for the gynecologist's wife if this analogy holds true. But anyways, whatever you're seeing a lot of on the job, you don't want to see when you're off the job, when you're relaxing, when it's your time, you know. And in my case, as a therapist, I don't want to see uh, crazy, you know. I don't want to deal with crazy situations because that's what I do for a living, you know. My brother, he's a network engineer and he works with computers, and he has a T-shirt that he wore one Thanksgiving that says, "No, I will not fix your computer." And people might they might figure that because you're family, you're going to do whatever you do for a job for free for them because they have that connection to you and you're going to give them a good deal. And so of course they're going to think that they can bring their laptop, when they see him, you know, maybe just a few times in a year, if that, and they'll ask, "Hey, can you fix this? Do you know what went wrong? Did I get a virus?" And for me, people might ask me what they can do for that family member that they have that has an addiction problem. Um, Now, with that being my niche, I've actually had uh, classmates of mine ask me about how to handle certain situations that were not for the clients in their specific niches, but actually for family members. I get asked a lot of questions like how to deal with that um, when it gets to the point where clinical intervention is needed. And pretty much every family has that one person that needs that. So I get kind of bugged a lot to do what I do for a living for free. Um, and I think maybe in a more general sense, outside of that niche of addictions, I've been listening to people's problems for a very long time for free, you know, and that's just part of being a good friend to an extent. But sometimes, you know, you get to the point where every time you check in on somebody, they want to rehash their most painful experiences, and the story doesn't change, and you realize that you're not actually hearing the fresh new parts of their life. You're just hearing about their pain, the stuff that they keep with them, and you realize, oh shit, I'm not like your friend. I'm your shoulder to cry on therapist friend. Hmm, that's where we are. So yeah, I don't like always doing the thing that I do for a job in my free time, you know. And now to connect those ideas, now that we're like 17 minutes in, um, I just checked the chat. You guys aren't talking. So I revisited my subscriptions that I have on YouTube. It's weird that people hardly ever use their subscriptions anymore. Anyway, they just go to the homepage. That's where people see what YouTube thinks that you're wanting to see, and YouTube is actually a better, you know, a better judge of what people want to watch than they are themselves, because people are just watching whatever's on the homepage. They're not watching from their subscriptions list. I can tell because that's where the majority of everyone's views come from. And I just decided to look at what was it that I used to like watching, right? And yeah, I used to be a part of a community here on YouTube that was all about spreading uh, the values of critical thinking skills and skepticism and science, right? And how did they do that? Well, they find examples of the low hanging fruit that were anti critical thinking skills and skepticism and science, and they poke fun at them, use them as the jumping off point to make their point, to reiterate to the world that they are in fact smart. And yeah, that was me. I was a part of it too. Um, but what I'm finding is the people that I was watching to reply to, a lot of them had certain discernible mental illnesses. Now, you're not supposed to diagnose people over the internet. That's a no-no. That's the Goldwater rule. But it's kind of self-evident, especially some of them even put it in their channel name and wear it as a badge of honor that they have certain diagnoses. But aside from that, there are people who have certain beliefs that you just you could figure that they correlate to anti-science rhetoric, and if you just stayed subscribed to them for a week, you'd see a fresh video with you know things that are very easily disproven being said. And I found a few of those when I was going through my subscriptions list. Um, I was actually of a school of thought back in the day that if you're going to do this sort of thing, use an example of somebody uh, on the internet and show whatever they're positing to be wrong for the enjoyment of everyone. That you should probably find somebody who's not the same person that everybody else is jumping on, and maybe spread your uh, bullying around. I'm going to just call it bullying for shorthand. But, you know, if you were to keep obsessing over the same person over and over again, you know, what does that say about you? So I did. I had a wide array of people that I was watching, that just had, beliefs that they got from wherever that were wrong, 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 wrong. And I was watching them to see, like, where's my good spot to jump into this double dutch game and jump into those jump ropes and have a good run of it. And yeah, some of those people are now perennial favorites to those in the skeptic community to be able to watch and continue to criticize and glean views for it. Um, One in particular, somebody who I've met in person, lives right up the road from me in Boulder, and I noticed that there's an entire club just dedicated to watching and hating on her, and it's amazing how many videos in a row can be made about hating on somebody, you know. So one of those videos in particular that I saw when I was looking through my subscriptions to people that I was only watching because I found them amusingly wrong. One of them was a very non-threatening, easy on the eyes Christian YouTuber who felt like there was this calling to not go to church. She felt like Jesus himself had said, you know what, it's not right to go to church yet because there's a pandemic, you know, and she felt like people in the church are being led to go to sleep, she'd call it, and she would be convicted if she went into a church because she know that it would be the wrong place for her to be. Yuck. And when she made this video, she was making it for a different audience, not for me. It was basically preaching to the choir, um, her talking to other Christians. It's like especially like more esoteric than evangelical Christians, the ones who would say to you that they are not religious, they're ritual, that kind of Christian. And she made the point that I kind of agreed with that even though she felt like it was the spirit of Jesus talking to her, telling her this, that part I disagree with. But she made the point that there's a pandemic going on, and by and large, churches have been failing to attract millennials, young people. So when you go to a church and you see all of those diehard people who think that, the coronavirus is a hoax, and that it's the liberals that are uh, just trying to control you, and they're trying to take away your church, so it's even more important to keep going to church. When you go to these churches and you look in the pews, what you see is a lot of silver hair, a lot of old people, right? And you have to imagine, like, in that sort of culture, that would probably be the breeding ground for the most anti-vaxxer rhetoric. You know, they don't believe that the coronavirus is real. They believe that it's got like a 99.999% uh, people lived through it rate. You know, they pull numbers out of their ass, and 99.999% recovery rate. How are we going to know if the vaccine works? Well, then it'll be like, instead of 99.9997, it'll be 99.9998. That's the kind of jokes they tell each other, right? And there they are in groups of, say, 50 to 200 all across America, clusters of old people with silver hair every Sunday, clustering together in the middle of a pandemic, and it's widely known that they are in the demographic that is the most at risk. And yet, they continue to congregate. And I watched this girl say that she would be very convicted that Jesus would not want that. And I had to wonder if maybe she just had a guilty conscience, and that's the way that she expresses her own intelligence, is she doesn't give her own conscience its own uh, credit for existence. She believes that any good idea that comes to her is divinely inspired, and in a way, it's very narcissistic to think that you are imbued with the magic to know what an almighty deity is thinking, you know. But in another way, it's completely not narcissistic to think that you can't have a good idea or an understanding about the world without magic giving it to you, because nothing good comes from you know. And it was a special kind of crazy, you know. And I agreed with it. She knew on some level that there's something terribly, terribly wrong with that setup. Something terribly wrong with old people getting together every Sunday, all in the same place, congregating and spreading about the rhetoric that the virus is fake and doing very little to protect themselves. Only in a strange, uh, even crazier mindset would you believe that God would be wanting that for the people that he cares for. And that even crazier mindset would be that maybe you believe that even after billions upon billions of people have died on the planet, God is still lonely for those people. And he's maybe calling them to heaven so that he can, you know, have some more people to chat with. That's another special kind of craze that you find on YouTube here. You know, the people that think that everything happens for a reason. Why even bother protecting yourself from the virus? Because if God wants you, he's going to take you. There's Mr. Vegas up way too late, just like me. And there's Huck. He says maybe she just uses Jesus to describe at some level. Interesting fact, the evolutionary benefit of xenophobia is keeping diseases from the tribe. You know, um, that might be, but the funny thing about America is that the people who are the most xenophobic, the political party, in fact, that is the most xenophobic, actually has the most people who have died from the virus while holding political office. You could check that list on Ballotpedia, but most of the high-ranking people in our government that have died from the coronavirus were Republicans. They're also the more xenophobic. So yeah, I went this far, 32 minutes into a ramble live with you all to get to the point of saying that I don't know how much crazy I want to deal with in my free time anymore. And I know you guys have appreciated me for going right at the crazy and applying some critical thinking skills to it, but you know what? There's only so much energy that I have in my brain for crazy each and every week. And if I'm going to use that part of my skill set in my free time, like the mechanic working on the classic clunker, you know, I'm going to do it for what I have a passion for. And it's not going to be just to uh, highlight somebody else's crazy to point and laugh like they're part of a circus. It'll be to maybe pass on to everybody else a little bit of an immunity to that bit of crazy. Well, thanks everybody for showing up. That's it for my live ramble tonight. I'm going to try to put out a little bit more content, but things will be tight through May as far as my schedule. And if I'm doing exactly what I need to be doing, then maybe I won't see you as much till I'm through this. But y'all take care. I appreciate you all for showing up, even at this late of an hour. That's amazing.